All right, on today's video, I'm going to talk about seller financing, and you're going to see why seller financing is such a good tool to use in today's market. All right, now that rates have moved from 3% to 8%, you as an investor, as a buyer, need to get creative. And one of the best ways to get creative is with a creative financing technique called seller financing. All right, so whenever I'm meeting with a seller who wants to sell their house, in today's market, there's oftentimes a situation where they would like to get more for their house, or they think their house is worth more than it really is, right? So the way I solve this problem is whenever I'm meeting with a seller, I give them 3 different offers, all right? So let's say, as an example, a seller is looking to sell their house for $200,000. And I'm not willing to buy the house for $200,000 because that's the retail value of the house. And let's say after some negotiations back and forth, the seller agrees to go down to $180,000. But I'm still not willing to buy that house for $180,000. All right. So what I'll do is the first thing I'll do is I'll come out with what I call my guaranteed cash offer. And the guaranteed cash offer is 65 cents on the dollar offer. Your house is worth $200,000. I'll give you $130,000 cash and then close in 2 or 3 weeks. And that oftentimes, most of the times, will get instantly rejected by the seller because it's just simply too low. And sometimes they'll actually get visibly upset. So he's visibly upset. He doesn't want the $130,000 offer, and he's looking for $200,000, but he'll settle for $180,000, right? This is a good example, a good opportune time for you to say, like, look, if you listed it on the MLS, what would you list it at? Let's say $199,000. And let's say someone offered you $190,000, would you take it? Yes, you probably would, right? Okay, so then you got 6% commission, you got 3 or 4% in closing costs. So figure knock 10% off of that $190,000, that's $19,000, and now you're down to $170,000. And I'll try and push this individual down to acknowledge, like, okay, well, I guess if I gave you $170,000 cash, it's not such a bad offer, right? So I've got my guaranteed offer of $130,000, and I've got the seller thinking about possibly a $170,000. So now this is the opportunity where I go into my creative financing, which is the second type of offer. So 3 types of offers. The first one's a guaranteed cash offer. The second one's creative. And the third one, some people call innovations. All right, so I'm going to go, we've done offer 1. It didn't work. He didn't like it. He was upset. We're moving to offer 2. So listen, let's say the seller's name's Jerry. Okay, so we're at $170,000. So if I could buy this house at $170,000 would work. Let me ask you a question. Would you be open to any kind of creative financing? And he says, well, what do you mean? I said, well, let's say, for example, if I gave you $20,000 down and then we did a mortgage for the other $150,000. Now, at this point in time, probably more than 50% of the time, the seller is immediately going to reject it and say, no, I want a cash offer. And then when he says, no, I want a cash offer, I'm going to jump right back to the $130,000 offer. And then the seller's going to be a little frustrated, right? Now, depending on the situation of the seller, how bad the pain points are, how many other potential buyers or wholesalers they're talking to, will really dictate how it's going to flow from there. Because if they've got 5 different appointments, they might just boot you out and you might be done. But if you're the only person they're talking to and they're really motivated to sell, they want to try and work something out. They say, look, Jerry, I like this house. I like this neighborhood. This could be a great rental for me. I'd love to work something out here. So, what did you not like about it? Was the 15 years, was that too long for you? Or, and then invariably what will happen is they'll start saying things like, well, I don't really want to wait 15 years. Okay. And then what I'll do with that is I'll switch over into like, all right, well, let me ask you this. Let's say we agreed on a price of $170,000. If I could put $20,000 down and on the other $150,000, if I could just pay you $1,500 a month for 100 months, that's like 7.8 years. Would that work for you? Now, you'd be surprised if you put it up and you actually put it on an iPad in front of them, the 3 different offers. You said $130,000 cash and then a $170,000 with $20,000 down and a 15-year mortgage for a $150,000, or $170,000 with $20,000 down and a $1,500 a month payment for 7.8 years. 9 out of 10 times what the seller will do is they'll say, well, if I could get paid a little quicker, in other words, if it wasn't 7-8 years, but maybe 5 years or 4 years, I may be able to do this. If I can do more than $20,000 down, that may work, right? So basically now what I'm doing is I'm negotiating not on price, but on terms, because we already put the price out of the way. We're in that $170,000, $180,000 ballpark. Now he might jump back and say, well, I don't want $170,000, I want $180,000. All right, Jerry, so let me ask you this. So if we put $20,000 down and I had $160,000 balance, I paid you $1,600 a month for 100 months, would that work? And 9 out of 10 times he's going to jump back and say, well, I need more than $1,600 a month. And a lot of times if a person's older and they're thinking about relocating, a lot of times they're doing because they're downsizing, right? So imagine imagine you're in their perspective. They had a big house, they had a 5-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, they had 3 kids. Everyone's moved out, the kids have grown up. Now they got grandkids, they want to move to be close to the grandkids. They'd like to pull out some of this money from their house, maybe move closer to the grandkids and live in a condo. Their problem is cash flow. Maybe they have some social security income. They like the idea of getting income. So it's definitely a strategy that you can present to them and something that can work. But a lot of times they don't want to wait those 7 or 8 years. They may say, well, I'd like to get more per month. Well, how much would you like? Well, $2,000 or $2,500. All right, so Jerry, let me ask you this. So if I could buy a house for, let's say, that $180 and put $20,000 down, and then take that other $160 and just simply pay you $2,000 a month until that's paid off, would that work? And if that person says yes, you essentially have a 0% interest mortgage from them. They're basically seller financing you with no interest payment at all, right? So when you're doing seller financing, always remember that you want to be talking about the terms, not the price, right? So you put the price out of the way, the $170, the $180, focus on the terms. If they don't like how much they're getting, increase the monthly payment, right? If they don't like the down payment, increase the down payment. So work on a higher down payment and them getting paid a higher amount per month so that you can work out the numbers that work for them. So a lot of people say, well, Lex, why would you do that? Why would you buy a property, put 20 or 30 or 40 grand down and assume payments on a house you buy for $170 or $180 when it's only worth $200? And the answer is very simple. Rates have moved from 3% to 8%. So go and do a side-by-side analysis of buying it for cash at $130 and paying 8% or 10% or 11 or 12% to a private lender versus buying that same property for higher, assuming you're going to keep it for the next 15 or 20 years. And what you will see is that they will basically equal out. And in many cases, you will actually be better off buying the house at a higher price. Why? Because if I buy that house and I agree to pay them off over 5 years, and 5 years from now, I own that house free and clear. And if today it's worth $200, it might be worth $250 by then. And that's free and clear, all mine. And all of the rent comes into my pocket, right? So if you're looking to build wealth, if you're looking to become a millionaire, you should be looking to acquire assets. And one of the best assets to acquire is rental properties. And a lot of times your person financing you can be the seller. You just have to phrase it correctly, right? So there's 3 types of offers we spoke about: offer 1 and 2, the guaranteed cash offer, the seller finance offer. Now I'm going to move to offer 3. Offer 3 is the seller is absolutely not, I need to get 200. I'm not going to get a nickel more than this. And then you've talked him down to 180, and that's his absolutely lowest price. So then you can move to what's called an Inovation offer. And there's a couple of different ways you can do this. So one thing you can do without doing an Inovation is if you have a real estate license, or maybe your partner has a real estate license, you could potentially turn it into a listing and try and pick up 6% commission and sell it for them. Another thing you can do is an Inovation, where you can essentially agree to give them a net price. So say, Jerry, I'm going to net you 180, but this is what I need from you. I need you to help me with this because I have a big pool of buyers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these buyers through and I'm going to work it out so that you net 180. And then essentially you're going to have one huge big open house. You take the property, put it up on the MLS, you're going to clean it up, and you're going to structure a deal. So you sell it to someone for 200 or 210 or 220, and Jerry nets 180. So Jerry's happy and you're happy and everyone's happy, right? So those are the 3 types of offers that you can use. But with seller financing, the key thing is with rates moving from 3% to 8%, you have to understand there's a tremendous amount of people. They say something like 45% of people out there have a sub 4% mortgage. That means there's a lot of sellers out there that have a mortgage at 3% or 2.875%. And some of these people want to sell their house, but they can't sell it because the market's a little weaker than where it was 6 or 12 months ago. So seller financing becomes a really employable strategy in a scenario, and you just have to find these people. So the question is, well, how do you find these kind of people? So when you're targeting to them, like let's say using PropStream as an example, you're pulling lists, right? What type of list would you be pulling? So pull people that have 100% equity, right? So 100% equity means they have no mortgage, they own the house free and clear. Also target people that are older, let's say 65 plus, right? So if you've got someone who's over 65 and they own the house free and clear, then there's a couple of scenarios that could happen to them, right? For example, I'm working on a lead right now up in Royal Palm, and this is an individual who owns a house, he owns it free and clear, he's moving into an assisted living facility, he's already paid the deposit in the first month. So he's moving, and he likes the idea of getting income because he needs income. So seller financing can work in this market. Definitely a tool that you want to have in your toolbox, and creative financing techniques in general work very well in the market that we're in today. All right, guys, so if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. Feel free to leave in the comment section any questions that you had about this video or any videos you'd like me to do moving forward. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you can be notified about upcoming videos, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video.